Good morning, everyone. This is Councilman Rasmussen coming to you with my update from our June 20th, 2022 council meeting. Um, First off, start with Smyrna at Night was on Saturday this last weekend. If you got a chance to make it out there, I hope you had a wonderful time. It was absolutely perfect day. And really have to give a huge shout out and thanks to all of the town staff, the team that really did the yeoman's work putting this together. Everybody was out there all day, from dawn till nearly midnight, doing all the setup, all the cleanup. We had a fantastic event. I think everybody I talked to had a great time. The music was wonderful. Food, drinks, entertainment, lots and lots of chance to get out and see friends and people that we haven't seen in a while. So awesome event. Thank you to the town staff, everybody who chipped in and made that possible. It was a great day. The going forward, so the Smyrna music events continue. So don't forget that we have our first Friday event that is coming up for July. Let me look at my calendar here. I believe that's July 1st. And the band is going to be the Blues Reincarnation Project. It's actually one of the bands that played. I got a chance to see them. It's one of the only ones that I got a chance to hang out and watch because they played right out here in front of the distillery. They were absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to seeing those guys again. The first Friday events are on Main Street. They're down in front of the Smyrna Museum and that area. The streets shut down for a couple hours for that. Obviously, not as big as like the whole day Smyrna at Night, but another great band to see. If you didn't get a chance to catch them this last weekend, come out and check them out. We've got two more. We'll have August and September also for the first Friday events. So come downtown, listen to some music, have some food and drinks. A couple of things to note before I get into the agenda items for the council meeting from last night. So one thing, many folks have heard this. Our current town manager, Andrew Haynes, is accepted another position at a national nonprofit organization. So it's been an absolute joy working with Andrew for the last couple of years, seeing the work that a professional town manager can bring and how that can help really move the town forward. We're sad to see him go, but we're going to be starting a new search process as soon as possible to identify a new town manager and ideally onboard them as quick as we can. And Andrew is staying around until the end of August to do as much as he can to help that transition happen. So we got a bunch of job positions posted that are public on the website. If you get our Thursday Town Tidbits, you probably see some of these pieces. But there's going to be a lot of hiring going on in the leadership team, and especially a new town manager is a big piece. There's a lot of folks who are going to be involved in making sure that happens. So as I said, sorry to see Andrew leave us. Glad he found something that will help him take his career to the next level where he wants to go. And hopefully that we find somebody who is as professional and smart and easy to work with as Andrew has been. Another big update from that operational side is the town is working diligently through converting our system. So I've mentioned that we're going to be converting to the Munis system that tracks a lot of our finances. It's going to help us with a lot of our budgeting stuff and a lot of information that we can make sure we get out to the town. That is all going on right now. It is a 5-day-a-week process doing all of the transition and the training, but the goal is that will be pretty much operational before Andrew leaves. That's one of the big pieces. So moving forward, even with change, always. The agenda from last night, it was a pretty fast public part of the meeting. One of the things we did is we had the third vote. So for a lot of ordinances, we actually have to have 3 votes. And so you'll see these if you look at the agenda, you'll see a first reading, second reading, and a third reading. So we had the third reading, which is the final reading, an opportunity for any sort of input or changes to establish a fully compensation committee. These are folks that are going to be looking at the compensation for all of for the council, for the mayor, for all of the different boards and commissions, everybody throughout the town. So that committee is now officially going to be created because the ordinance has gotten through its third reading. On the new business part of the agenda, we started the night, we swore in a couple of new code enforcement officials. Not always everyone's favorite person to see. If they're knocking at your door, probably means you haven't mowed your lawn or something is not where it should be. But from the standpoint of the town's ability to make sure that we're able to enforce our code, it's really important that we have people out there every day who are helping neighbors and responding to requests and questions. So we've got 2 more new code enforcement officers that were just sworn in last night, Florence and Raven. If you see them driving around, hopefully they're not coming for you because you haven't mowed your lawn, but they'll be out there, and ideally, and this is something we hear all the time as council members. Well, I don't know why I got a thing that, my yard is too tall when there's a yard down the street that I know that's too tall. Part of that is capacity and making sure that we have enough people out there that are actually able to do the work and meet with people. So adding a little bit more capacity on here is something that we've been sorely lacking, and hopefully it will improve some of the code pieces that we have going on around town. We had a couple of zoning type things that we did last night. One is we did an ordinance to rezone a vacant property on South DuPont Boulevard. This is what will be eventually a Popeyes. That's going to be coming right between the Firestone and where the Waffle House is. That vacant piece of property, it needed to be rezoned to bring it in compliance with the comprehensive plan for the town, so it's more of an operational thing, but it is a step in the direction of that piece of property being redeveloped. And eventually there will be a Popeyes chicken there, which I know some people absolutely love. I think it's pretty decent. So always willing to eat more fried chicken. That's not a healthy thing, obviously. So we did that. We set a fact-finding hearing for some annexation of property into town. So if you ever get a chance to look at the zoning map and the town map, you will find there are all these little random pieces of property that, while everyone assumes they are part of the town of Smyrna, are actually not. So some of those are right on Route 13 to the north. There's actually a smattering. One house will be, one property will not, and it just goes along. There are some of those properties that are right on Route 13 that have requested to be annexed into town because they want access to some of the water and sewer facilities that the town can provide, but only to town residents. So we all know these businesses. This is the Wawa that's up there on the corner of Paddock Road. This is what was Ronnie's, which is now Homestead Gardens. Those are pretty big businesses. They both want to grow. They both want to do more things. They both need access to more water and more sewer capacity, and they've requested to be zoned or annexed into the town of Smyrna so that they can then be connected to our water and sewer system. And that will allow them to grow their businesses and sort of be what they want to be. So it's great. It's good for the town of Smyrna. It's more people that are part. It sort of helps clean up our map a little bit. It is mildly tricky because you have to be contiguous with another property to zone in. So we're doing a whole bunch of these properties all at once so that it makes one big contiguous piece that is contiguous with another portion of town. So it's a process that begins. There's going to be a fact-finding hearing on August 15th, 2022. There'll be a presentation from the staff and everything about those individual properties. It takes a while to annex property and then have it zoned appropriately. But what that means is eventually there will be some changes coming to that area, especially likely the Wawa, which will, probably want to be the big Wawa with the gas and all that kind of fun stuff that model that they've moved to versus the smaller sort of just standalone convenience store model that we all know and love from back in the day. So those are the big zoning things. Another operational thing that we set a public hearing, or we will be setting a public hearing to get feedback around doing a bond issuance for the town. I mentioned this in a previous meeting where we had a long presentation about some of the capital projects that the town needs to do and how we would go about financing those. What the council opted to do was to use the bond financing option. And so we approved a bond issuance up to $10 million to raise the capital necessary to do many of the large capital improvement projects that are necessary for our water and sewer infrastructure. So we've begun that process. Basically, the council said we're going to do the bond option. Now we've got to do a public hearing and public comment about the bond issuance, and it will take a number of months until we actually issue a bond and then bring in those funds in order to begin those capital projects. What it means is, assuming that everything moves forward, in the next couple of years, there will be some significant capital improvements around water and sewer. The major ones are going to be a water tower to the north of town. There's going to be what we call the East Commerce Street project, which is improving the water and sewer infrastructure from Commerce Street to Locust Street. And then there is the North Main Street project, which is from Four Corners up to Glenwood Avenue. And then an additional what we would call the north of Duck Creek water and sewer project, which is going to be more of the water and sewer infrastructure to the north of town that helps connect to those the water tower and some of the new potential development areas up there. It's a lot of money, no doubt, and there'll be fees that's associated with it, and obviously we try and do our best to mitigate the amount of debt service that the town has, but in the end we need to be able to provide services, and sometimes that takes spending a lot of money today in order to have the infrastructure that lasts for a long time afterwards. So you'll hear more about that. Other things on our items, we had a financial request for a grant for the Boys and Girls Club. So this is something that the town budgets for. The Boys and Girls Club came to us with a request for $10,000 to support the operations and facility at the Boys and Girls Club. A lot of folks don't know the town actually owns that building, where the Boys and Girls Club is located on East Commerce Street. They have done obviously a lot of work to the building and improvements to it. So the town is the property owner there, and we do a number of other things to support them. But they raise most of their own funding. They had a big capital campaign and capital ask last year and did a lot of great improvements to that building. If you got a chance to see it, so this is our contribution to the Boys and Girls Club to support their operations for $10,000 for 2022. The couple of other things that came out, a lot out of the Main Street Coordinating Board, which is something that I chair. One of the conversations we've had over the last couple of months was around trying to create better consistency in signage and branding, and actually really developing a true plan for signage for here in the town. And we had this question of what resources do we have available to us to do that, as in like a style guide, right? From a business perspective, you have a logo, you know how to use it, you have the colors, the ways it can and cannot be used. About 10 years ago, Arnett Muldrow and Associates, and Ben Muldrow lives down in Milford. He's done a lot of great work. I think he's worked like 600 different small towns or communities to do this sort of stuff. About 10 years ago, they did a brand guide and style guide and the logo and the seal for the town. We reached out to Ben because somewhere along the way, all of this information had gotten lost. And he, sent us back all the other stuff and then offered up his company's ability to pro bono do a refresh of what that looks like and take another look at it 10 years later, see what's still good, what do we maybe need to change, and then ultimately that sets us up for some future work, which is what are the things that we need, right? We know we've talked about the master parks plan. Well, we want to have signage in all of the parks that is consistent, that has the name of the park and that uses the same font and the same locations and the same design. Something like that, we need to make sure that we're designing that so that it's also consistent with new parking signage downtown for the new parking lot that's under construction. That sort of consistency is important, and we want to make sure that we have a brand and style guide that allows us to look at all of those pieces, make some smart choices, and make some consistency around town. So just everything looks a little bit nicer. People know what they're getting. We're going to start that process. We're going to sort of be doing the first brand refresh in the next couple of months. And then ideally after that, we go back to Ben to talk about some of the individual projects that we need. And the State Division of Small Businesses and the Main Streets organization actually has about $12,000 in grant funding from the federal government in order to support some of these pieces. So that's coming. It doesn't mean that you're likely to see a change on like the seals that are on the town trucks and things like that for what we currently have. But what it might mean is that, eventually when we have park signage or parking signage, it might have a little bit more Smyrna specific look to it rather than just a random flat blue sign with a P on it for parking kind of thing. So that's coming. And the last thing is we had a request last night from the Greater Kent Committee to provide $2,500 to support a quality of life research study. So they're reaching out to all of the different larger municipalities here in Kent County, as well as Kent County itself, and Kent County Tourism, to raise some funding to have Rockport Analytics, which is a research company that's done a number of economic research pieces here for Kent County, to have them do a specific research study on quality of life, amenities, and opportunities in Kent County. I have the chance to sit on the steering committee for this, so I've been integrally involved with it for a number of years. What we're hoping to get out of this is some data that we can use that says, here are the types of quality of life amenities that we specifically know we need to help attract larger employers. The Kent Economic Partnership, led by Linda Parkowski, has been doing a great job identifying and trying to bring in larger employers. This would be warehousing and logistics and manufacturing are her big target areas. Right? We have in no small part to that work, we have a 300 and some thousand square foot building that's going to be being built here on the north side of town for a logistics facility. Can't say who that is yet because they're still quiet about it. However, there's 800 potential jobs there. Those are great investments, but there's a lot of other opportunities that we might be missing because we don't have necessarily the quality of life components that a manufacturer might be looking for. Right? If you want to open a medical equipment manufacturer and you're going to have a whole bunch of engineers and scientists and folks like that, those people want to live in communities that have certain amenities. We need to know what those things are so that we can target those in the outreach that we do to businesses, both large and small. We need to know what we've got already that helps fit that bill so that we can better sell those to potential employers in the area. And then ideally, we need to know what we're missing because that helps us to go out and say, all right, if we're going to be looking for businesses to locate here in town and actively shopping properties or things like that from the town side, we want to know what we want there because we want to know what we're missing so that we can then attract those potential employers to our community. So it's a study. There'll be a survey. There'll be all of that kind of stuff. There'll be some data when it becomes available. I'll make sure that I mention it and I share it out with everybody. But the town did agree to commit $2,500 to help support this. There's an ask to Kent County. I forget it. I think the entirety of the project is around a $30,000 research study. They're asking from each of the municipalities to chip in a little bit, and then Kent County Tourism agreed to chip in $5,000 to help support it as well. So all that takes time, but what it means is hopefully September, October, assuming all goes well, we'll have some data that we can then ultimately begin using from the town side to better think about quality of life and how that impacts economic development here in Smyrna. Those are the big things. Not a lot of public comment or anything like that. Sorry, I forgot. The mayor mentioned this and a few other folks were there. I did not have an opportunity to attend the Juneteenth event that was in the municipal park. I think the mayor said there was around 100 folks that were there. And I did see some of the videos that were posted and events like that, which looked like a great event. I'm sorry I was not able to attend it, but a few of the other council folks and people were able to get there for a little bit. So another event and hopefully one that we do more of in the community. So thank you for everyone who worked really hard to put that together. I certainly appreciate it. That's about it for my update for this month. Things coming up, don't forget, July 1st is going to be the next First Friday Music Blues Reincarnation Project. Super great if you were into, they played a lot of like Led Zeppelin and sort of like Pink Floyd sort of style blues rock, which I enjoy. So my kids, not so much. And obviously next weekend, after that, the weekend after that that weekend is going to be the 4th of July events. If you've not seen all of this stuff, it looks like the fireworks are scheduled for Sunday night. And the parade is scheduled this year. It is in Clayton on Monday, July 4th. I'm sure we will see lots and lots of people out at both the fireworks and the parade. So looking forward to that. That'll be a busy weekend, Friday, Sunday, and Monday events. So hope everyone's doing well. Take care, and we'll see you again soon.